So, dear students, my name is Josef Kružík, and I would like to welcome you on my seminar Introduction to Christian Symbolism, and thank you for registering in. What is the aim of this seminar? Some of you are the academic pilgrim, which have came to the university from abroad as the Erasmus students or as the students of our English bachelor program, Liberal Arts and Humanities. But the others are living in Prague maybe for a long time. I guess you suppose to know Prague quite well in that case. What does it mean to know Prague well? Maybe you know best places for shopping, cool pubs or cinemas. You are able to find very easy an underground station, etc. However, there is also a different point of view. Today, religion or spirituality in broader general sense has virtually no influence on the social life, and they are out of the public interest. Nevertheless, for a long time, Prague had been a very important and influential spiritual and religious center, not only for the Czech country, but also for at least Central Europe. This point of view offers completely different mental picture of the city, and this dimension is petrified, literally put in stones. In at least 300 or 400 churches, many of them famous, old and most of them very beautiful. Whatever small some churches may be, there are many sculptures, paintings on walls, frescoes, mosaics, paintings on stained glass, etc. in them. We can estimate the small church contains, let's say, 50 or 100 sacred images, various types. A larger church, many hundreds, maybe 1,000. A lot of others are on the squares, on the houses, on the bridges, and so on. So, the city of Prague is populated by tens of thousands sacred images, and we are usually completely ignorant of them. I would like to draw your attention to them, but we have to be aware that there is not only the dimension of their beauty, as we can expect, treating them as the work of arts. There is a significant difference between the profane art on the one hand and the sacred art on the other hand. Sacred art is mostly beautiful, however, and above all, it must be understandable. That is, it must symbolize or signify something such a way to be widely comprehended. It means to be comprehended, uneducated, even illiterate people. There is a kind of, let's say, religious code, crystallized and meticulously observed primarily during Middle Ages. How to depict particular saints, what symbols could be attributed to the Almighty God, what kind of nimbus should be appropriate to Virgin Mary, and so on. This code, however, was dissolved in the subsequent era of Renaissance and not so strictly observed in the new religious art, but its roots are deepened very strongly, and in some measure they are presented also in modern religious art, in art in general, I think. So, the main aim of the seminar is to try, in elementary level indeed, to break or, so to speak, decipher this symbolic code for you, to be able, when you meet a Christian work of art, to enjoy it as well as to understand symbolical language behind it. Let me introduce a small example. Sorry. Here we go. Here we go. So, let me introduce a small example. You probably know this street. It is Národní třída with the Church of Saint Ursula. There is an interesting statue on the facade of it. Here you can see the statue. You can see a young woman holding a kind of cups in her cloak. Do you know what she is holding? And do you know who is the saint? It is a statue of Saint Agatha, and she is holding her own severed breasts. I'm sorry. Notice she is covering up upper part of her body with the right hand. Yeah. The severed breasts are the main symbol of this saint. The story behind the severed breast of Saint Agatha is following. Saint Agatha was a virgin martyr. She was martyred in the year 251 in Sicily, in town Catania near Mount Etna. And she is venerated in Catholic tradition. Her feast is February the 5th. Her story is a story on the unhappy and unfulfilled love. She was beloved by the Roman prefect named Quintianus, but she decided to refuse him in the favor of virgin life with Christ. It so enraged him that his extreme love was quickly turned to even more extreme hate, and finding that she was a Christian, he ordered her to the most horrible tortures. During them, her breasts were amputated. She was miraculously healed by St. Peter, who mystically visited her, St. Agatha, in her jail. Quintianus then ordered her to be burned, but a great earthquake occurred and terrified people released St. Agatha from the flames. Still in great suffering, she was again thrown into the jail, where found finally her dead. She is a patron of wet nurses. Reason is obvious. Bell makers, because the shape of the bell is similar to the shape of woman's breast, and she is also an intercessor against the eruptions of volcanoes. Reason is quite obscure, probably due to proximity of Mount Etna to her native town, but also maybe there is a kind of funny connection between love passion of her frustrated lover and volcano eruptions. Knowing that the statue is a statue of Saint Agatha and understanding of her story, or so to speak, ideology behind this statue, it means that we understand this building, and also this street is slightly different manner. Whatever small this difference could be, it is a difference which matters. And to be able to make such differences is the main aim of my seminar. By the way, I must mention one important disclaimer. The aim of this seminar is not to improve your English skill. I suppose your English skill is mostly better than mine. I apologize for that, and I beg you to be patient with me and generous. I will not improve your language skills, but I try to help you to improve your understanding of Christian symbolism. And this way, to give you a small contribution to understanding of the roots of our culture, and consequently, to better understanding of ourselves. So, let's continue with one methodological remarks. Although today's seminar will be mainly theoretical, and I will show you only 10 or so images, nevertheless, from next week onward, seminar will tend to be a kind of picture show with commentaries and small analyses. Otherwise, the seminar would be very, very bored. Therefore, I will show you plenty of pictures taken from different books, but I will not use the reproduction of paintings, mosaics, but rather the outlines or sketches. The reason is obvious. The outlines, as you can see on this slide, the outlines better underlines main traits otherwise hidden in a picture or sculpture. However, the colors matter, and I will deal with the symbolism of colors on the penultimate seminar of this course. Concerning bibliography, there are many relevant and useful books covering our subject. You can find some selection in syllabus of this seminar in Study Information System. However, some of them deserve to be especially recommended. I'm sorry. Virtually everything concerning our topic, with plenty of pictures and outlines, can be found in the book Fernand Cabral and Henri Maru Leclerc, Dictionnaire d'archéologie chrétienne et de liturgie. It is book in French. It is French, so to speak, mega encyclopedia. You can see it here. And this mega encyclopedia consists from 30 very, very large volumes covering topics from liturgy, history, art, music, including many examples taken from Eastern Christianity. But the foundation of this book is iconography and motifs from Western Christianity. There are plenty of nice pictures and sketches in it, and many of them I will use in my seminar. The missing coverage of iconography of the saints, it is only a weak spot of this mega book. The main editor was Henri Leclerc. Henri Leclerc was a Benedictine monk which was working on this project during his whole life, spent mostly in the library of British Museum in London. Totaling at least 10,000 pages, Leclerc's entries may well constitute the largest output by an encyclopedist in the 20th century. Henri Leclerc was without doubt one of the most educated men of his time. And this mega encyclopedia was issued in the first half of the 20th century. So the copyright on this are expired now, and you can find this mega encyclopedia for download on the archive.org. Yeah? archive.org is the site, internet archives, which is concentrated books with expired copyrights, and you can find here many volumes of Cabral and Tolkien Mega Encyclopedia. Wait for a minute. Oh, never mind. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah. It is it's fourth volume of the encyclopedia, and you can find here another 10 of maybe 15 volumes. One half of this great masterpiece you can download from archive.org. So the second one, which deserves the special recommendation, is odd, short, nevertheless very useful study by the Catherine Lee Jenner. This book, title of this book is Christian Symbolism, and this book was issued in the beginning of 20th century, in 1910, and in this book you can find approximately 70% coverage of my seminar. Book is short, however very comprehensive, and this book also could be downloaded from archive.org. Symbolism. Wait for a minute. Here we go. It is sold by very useful book for our seminar. Similar book, worth to reading, except first two chapters, which are a little bit bitter and anti-ecumenical in their tone, is a book by Frederick Roth Weber, Church Symbolism, an explanation of the more important symbol of the Old and New Testament, the primitive and medieval and modern church. This book is from, it was issued in 1927, and it is also down. You can also download this book from this address, catalog heritage.org. You can find this book here. Concerning particular themes, I can recommend you as worthy of reading for the sake of my first half of seminar, book by Adolphe Napoleon Diderot, Christian Iconography, or the History of Christian Art in the Middle Ages. You can find this book also on the archive.org. That is an English translation on the French book, originally published as Iconography chrétienne in the year 1851. It is a very old book, nevertheless very famous and even today respected, mainly from analysis of symbolism of Trinity, analysis of Nimbus, and analysis of iconography of Holy Ghost or angels and so on. Very important contribution. I'm sorry. Here. Very important contribution which can match the works from the end of 19th and the beginning of 20th century. That is the golden age of scientific inquiries of the Christian symbolism. So the book which can match this mega works, publish it in the end of 19th century, is the book of Schiller, of Gertrude Schiller, Iconography of Christian Art. This book was published in the 1971, and it is translation from German. In German language, this book totals 5 large volumes. However, only first 2 volumes are translated to English. The first volume deals with iconography of Christ, with a lot of picture and photos, and some of them I will use in my seminar. So let's proceed. The short overview of whole seminar, and we can proceed to the overview of the key topics which will be dealt with during the seminar. I have prepared a kind of self-test for you to be able, on one hand, to evaluate your level in understanding Christian symbolism, and on the other hand, to decide whether you will stay and enroll in the seminar. So we should meet 12 times. The seminar next week will deal with symbols connected with iconography of Jesus Christ. You can see here an example of such symbolism. Does everybody know what the meaning of the picture is? What kind of bird is that on this depiction? So it is quite easy question. So is somebody so daring that to try to answer it in chat? Never mind. This bird is a pelican. Jesus Christ is sometimes depicted as a pelican feeding her young with her own blood. According to old legend, female pelican is supposed to tear her breasts and feed her young with her own blood. She dies so that her youths may live. For that reason, the pelican is quite a common symbol of Christ. So, on the next week, on the March the 16th, we will proceed to the iconography of Holy Trinity. So, could somebody try to explain this picture? Ha! Oh, Anush Oganessian correctly answered the first question. Very good. So, what about this one? Asiamos triples of Pope Urban VIII. What this picture? What is the meaning of this picture? So, dear colleagues, it is a little bit more difficult. You can see here the symbol of Holy Trinity, accompanied with symbols of the four evangelists and with an abstract diagram. Notice the Holy Trinity is depicted as the head with 3 faces, 3 noses, but only 4 eyes. That picture is quite rare, and such depiction of Holy Trinity was prohibited by the Pope Urban VIII in the year 1628. On the next week, on March 23rd, we will turn our attention to the role of nimbus. I have no doubts you are familiar with nimbus or halo around the head of saints. However, look at this picture. The saint is Pope Paschal, who died in the year 817, and his head is embellished with the rectangular nimbus, not the circle nimbus. Do you know what is the reason? Oh, it's also not easy question. The reason is the picture of the Pope Paschal was painted during his life. If the picture was posthumous, pictured after his death, the nimbus would have to be a circular one. But this picture was painted during his life, so the nimbus is rectangular. On the next week, we will pursue the iconography of cross and crucifixion. I think this question is very easy. Do you know what type of cross is seen on the flag of Scotland? Come on, colleagues. Does everybody know? Okay. It is a so-called X-shaped cross. And this cross is a representation of the saint patron of Scotland, Saint Andrew. This type of cross is also called Saint Andrew's cross. So I will deal with iconography and ideology, and so to speak, typology of many different types of Christian crosses in the seminar at the end of March. On the April of 6th, we will proceed to the symbolism of Holy Virgin. Andrew Cross, Nikita Gavrilin. Nice. Yeah, my stream has some attention. Yeah? So I have to take a while to give you a time to answer. So I will be remembered. On the April the 6th, we will proceed to the symbolism of Holy Virgin. You can see here the painting by the Filippo Lippi. Filippo Lippi was a famous Italian painter of the era of Renaissance. He died in 1469. He was Italian painter of Quattrocento. You can see the angel kneeling before Virgin Mary. Do you know what is the meaning of the scene? So, I will wait for a while. Nobody? It is not easy, because it looks like a typical Renaissance scene of Annunciation, but it is not. The main clue to decipher the true meaning of the painting is the burning candle. the burning candle given to Mary by the angel. The candle is an attribute of Archangel Michael, and Michael is the governor of life and death. His visiting means the annunciation of forthcoming death of the Virgin, as well as her assumption, her assumption to heaven. So this archangel is not Gabriel, but deciding from the burning candle, this archangel is Michael, definitely Michael, and this scene is annunciation of death of Mary, not the conception of Jesus Christ. Let's proceed. The next week we will deal with the angels and archangels. You can see this time the true scene of Annunciation. The Archangel Gabriel is announcing to the Virgin Mary the forthcoming Immaculate Conception of Jesus Christ. However, something is wrong with the painting. And question is, what is wrong? So, does anybody there? It is indeed difficult question. Notice the gesture. Notice the gesture of the archangels. Archangel. That is gesture of blessing, and it is wrong because the angels and archangels should not give blessing to anybody. The gesture of blessing is reserving only to God. He is blessing the whole world, and also to the humans. They could give blessing one another. However, this gesture is inappropriate, not forbidden, but inappropriate to the angelic being as Archangel Gabriel. On the next week, on the April the 20th, we will finish the topic concerning the angels, and we will deal with the iconography of angelic system of Dionysius Areopagite. You can see here the very, very rare depiction of the angelic grade, or more precisely, hairs, called Dominations. This picture is from English medieval church of Saint Michael and All Angels at Barton Turf in the county of Norfolk. So, and the question is, why the face of Domination is scratched? So, dear colleague, the reason perhaps was the Pope-like triple crown. Here you can see the specific triple crown, and that is depiction of papal tiara. And also you can see here the specific vestment, that is papal vestments, which was probably both of these things were probably offensive to the early reformers and to later Puritans. The damage could have been done shortly after first quarter of 16th century during the wave of so-called iconoclasm, when papal authority was rejected by English King Henry VIII. Aquian Uyu asked me, who is this? this is a depiction of mighty angel, and Dionysius Areopagite, that was very influential author from the 6th century of our era, and he postulated very complicated angelic system consisting from 9 angelic grade, cherubim, seraphim, thrones, and so on. And that is the depiction of so-called dominations, dominationes, or in Greek exousias. Exousiae is one of the higher angelic grades, and that is depiction of domination. The name of this angelic grade is domination, and that is one of them. Okay, let's proceed. On the April 27th, we will begin the overview of the symbols of saints. You can see here a winged ox with nimbus, circonimbus around his head, holding a book. Do you know what is the meaning of the picture? Who is depicted by this symbol? So the winged ox is a typical symbol of evangelist Saint Luke. Every evangelist has his own symbolic animal, and that is very famous and widespread symbolic articulation of the evangelist. So we will finish. The iconography of saints on the May the 4th. So you can see here a winged man with severed head holding a scroll. And question is, what is the saint? Everybody knows? What is that fellow with severed head as well as wings? A winged fellow with severed head? Is that Taurus? Oh no. Try somebody else. He is Saint John the Baptist. John the Baptist. The Eastern Christianity sometimes depicts him as an angel. It was quite difficult question. However, the crucial clue is the severed head. Severed head is not exclusively, however, the quite unique symbolic attribute of Saint John the Baptist. The Saint John of Baptist could be identified by the severed head on his pictures. Our last seminar will take place on the May the 11th, and we will go through iconography of devil. And you can see here a handsome but a little bit arrogant angel And you can see here the very rare depiction of Satan before his fall. And on the May the 11th, we also deal with so-called lesser symbolism. And the final question is, what is the snail symbol for? You can see here the snail. So you can see here the schematical depiction of 7 deadly sins. And the snail is symbol for Arcadia, symbol for sword. You can see here the 7 animals, and each of them is a symbol of one of the capital of deadly sin. And sword is the symbol for sword, for Arcadia, for laziness. Okay. On the May the 17th, sorry, not 18 as on this slide, but 17. It will be Monday, not Tuesday. On the May the 17th, there will be the first opportunity to try to pass the final examination. To successfully pass the seminar and to gain 3 ECTS credits, you will have to pass a final test in Moodle. The test will be online, and I wait for a minute. Okay, here we go. You can find the Moodle on. You can find the Moodle this way. From the home page of faculty, you click here, and the login and password is the same as to SIS. So okay, and now you will have to find the seminar Introduction to Christian Symbolism and enroll in it. And then if you you enroll it, here you can find the final test. The final test is empty at this moment, but the test will be available for the first time on Monday, May the 17th, and you can expect. Wait for a minute. You can expect 15 multiple choice question of such type. The type of Virgin Mary is called Immaculata, Coronata, or Soledad. None of them. And the right answer is none of them. That is Virgo Maria Orans. Or the 2 fee reviews. 4 5s are the symbol of Virgin Mary, Jesus Christ, cherubim of thrones. And the correct answer is D. Only one of the of these options is correct. And so the test will be consist from 15 multiple choice questions and 5 open questions. An example of the open questions could be explain the term communio of sites, communio sanctorum. So if you would eventually fail to pass the test, you will have other 2 or maybe 3 opportunities to pass it during June or September, and all of these opportunities will be online in Moodle. So dear colleagues, please register in to the Moodle and find the Introduction to Christian Symbolism and register to Introduction to Christian Symbolism in Moodle. So let's proceed to the short theoretical introduction and definitions of basic concepts and terms. So the word symbol is originated in Greek. In Greek, it is neuter noun symbolon, and it is a form of verb symbalein, which is a verb with prefix sin, and the root verb is balein. Balein means to throw, and to understand. So the symbol symbalein means to throw together, and symbol is the noun derived from this verb. To understand what the meaning of symbol is, we have to try to understand the complex semantic meaning of the ancient word. The primary sense of symbalein is to put things together. The word symbol in the classical Greek designated one of the two halves of an intentionally broken piece of material, for example a terracotta shard, that were distributed to the two parties of an agreement. The meaning was to provide a trustworthy means of authentication at some future date of original agreement. The verb symbalein has also a sense to agree, which means the symbol is a device by which agreement is completed. So to speak, symbols seal the deal. In the classical age, symbols thus appear as tools of authentication in many different fields, including hospitality arrangements, business affairs, and even diplomacy. However, symbol has a more complex meaning than settling business or political issues. It used to be also very important religious phenomenon. Let's consider a couple of examples. In the mystery religion, and peculiarly among followers of the philosopher of the ancient Greek philosopher Pythagoras, the term symbolon used to mean the secret verbal password, or short, enigmatic verbal formula that verifies membership in a particular cult. Such symbols had a power to authenticate a cult member, as well as knowledge of the secret symbols allow a person to gain access to higher tiers of initiation. It was also supposed the knowledge of such verbal symbols can be used after that to give the deceased person access to the realm of the blessed. From this point of view, the verbal symbols were indeed passports directing the movement of the humans toward the divine. This conception of verbal symbols is the background of the early Christian usage of the Latin word symbol for the Apostles' Creed. In addition to the idea of agreement or pronouncing the secret religious passwords, the verb symbalein could also mean to meet. This meaning was important in the field of divination, where word symbalein means to meet with divine power. In classical period of Greek culture, it used to describe a chance of meeting the divine, and therefore it became a general term for a divine sign. From this point of view, the symbol is a form of sign that brings something to light, and yet it means something that is not apparent to the uninitiated. So we can conclude symbol could have an esoteric or, so to speak, closing function, as well as an exoteric or disclosing one. Symbols also have a peculiar power, so to speak, to reproduce the divine in material forms. So, let's proceed with short introduction to the theory of symbols. There is an important distinction between a synchronic study of symbols, which seeks to locate a symbol within a certain living context or frame, and a diachronic approach, which looks for invariable patterns in religious symbolism. The most famous supporter of diachronic study of symbolism and symbol was French philosopher and anthropologist called Lévi-Strauss. Lévi-Strauss asserted that symbols belonged to their own systems, within which they were subject to certain basic relationships and patterns of transformation. He was deeply convinced that elementary symbolism was universal to all humankind and could be located in some common human mental structure underlying all human behavior, so-called deep structure. Lévi-Strauss' theory of structuralism deals with myths and symbols as a phenomena more fundamental than the meanings they articulate or the social function they fulfill, or the social systems that give them shape. So, another very important theoretic of symbol or symbolism was Victor Turner. On the other hand, the work of this British anthropologist is a typical example of synchronic approach. Turner developed an important theory of symbolism on the ground of his studies on ritual in the late 20th century. In his point of view, particular symbols can be understood only by setting them in their right, so to speak, action-field context. We need to consider immediate role of symbols in a ritual and to observe the particular patterns of behavior associated with them. Turner also attributed the peculiar psychological functions to symbols. From his point of view, the symbols are to guard against excessive emotion and to serve as a catharsis or as mean for catharsis to express our feelings. So, completely different approach to the study of symbols can be found in the works of German philosopher Ernst Cassirer. He viewed the philosopher's task on the field of symbol and symbolism as the quest for human spirit at work in culture. In his famous book, Philosophy of the Symbolic Form, Cassirer proposed so-called theory of symbolic forms as the basic to all human apprehension of the reality or apprehension of the world. In Cassirer's point of view, symbols are providing the conceptual means to grasp reality. Cassirer's symbols are necessary means for a human to be able to communicate with each another, as well as to make the world comprehensible. So, in other words, the Cassirer says that all human communication is exclusively symbolic. We are not able to communicate with each other in some other forms than by the means of symbol. So, last theoretician is which I mentioned today is Romanian philosopher and phenomenologist of religions Mircea Eliade. His work includes a kind of synthesis of diachronic and synchronic approaches, and he calls his new approach new hermeneutics. Eliade postulated that a symbol reveals certain dimensions of reality that would otherwise elude our understanding. For him, these deeper dimensions are disclosed not only through our reflection of the symbols, but also in it, as it were, internal logic of the symbols. The idea, however, depends on the premise that there is something hidden in or hidden behind the symbols that could be disclosed. As his famous German predecessor, Rudolf Otto, Eliade calls this hidden reality the sacred. In German, das Heilige. The sacred is an order of being distinct from the natural one, and as such, it is outside and beyond humans' direct comprehension and, in the first place, direct human control. Rudolf Otto, for that reason, Rudolf Otto calls the sacred totally other, ganz andere, or in Greek, epikeina. And Eliade meant the symbol was a reservoir for the deepest desires of humans to see their God. In the point of view of Eliade, there is no deeper desire, there is no deeper human desire other than to see their gods. And the symbol is the means how we can come to this vision. Why? No, because direct revelation of divine, for example, as resurrection of Christ, lies out of our reach. So we meet our desire in the images and the representations, which are usually called symbols. Although symbols are no more than human creations, they seem to have, in the point of view of Eliade, seem to have a life of their own, describing a dimension of human experience with the sacred that resists humans' control. So, dear colleagues, we have finished the short overview of this seminar, and also we finished the short theoretical overview of the problem of symbol and symbolism. And I think it is enough for today, and I will see you next Tuesday. So have a nice week. Thank you for your attention, and bye.